Good evening, everybody, and this is Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. You can see it straight from the bat. I'm with the sassy Steffi Chase. How are you doing, Steph?
I'm great, Alex. How are you?
You know I'm not great.
No, not great. I'm going to try and keep the energy up here to uplift you a little bit today.
I know. Like I said, I slept on my lunch today, and I slept as soon as I finished work. I'm feeling trash. I can't even have time off work because it's AJ's fight week, which is like super busy. But I still managed to watch a good deal of wrestling, and I'm excited. This is going to be a great show because I know with everything going on in wrestling at the moment, Steph Chase is the perfect cohort to talk about these things. So yes, very excited though. I found the energy, Steph, just for you.
Good. Bursting with takes.
Yes, and of course I found the energy for our lovely great eggs that fill us with joy every chat. Well, you guys have been stars of the show for the past few weeks, and you know when Steph is around, it's Ultra Chat Queen herself. So please make sure you get them in to WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2. We've had problems with PayPal this week, I believe, but I am reliably informed they're okay at the moment. So please do get them into us, and Steph and I will get back to you, of course, once the mods give us the goods. We'll get them on screen and we'll have a nice little discussion. So please, guys, feel free to engage with Steph. And I, as usual at the top of the show, I want to remind you to subscribe and get your notifications on for Wrestle2. That would be the home of Wrestling Daily. And we're approaching 31,000 subscribers on there. So make sure you are one of those. And then when you've done that, get over to Twitter and follow it there as well. You can see Steph's handle in the top right-hand corner and mine in the top left. And, of course, a lot of the lovely people in the comments and who watch this show every day, you can follow them too and build this lovely wrestling community that we have here on Wrestling Daily. So please.
Good eggs in the basket.
In the basket. You heard it right there. So, yeah, absolutely. Please do keep that going. You know what day it is. It's Thursday, which means we're going to talk Wednesday nights. Let's, as usual, we normally kick off with AEW, but I feel like that's extremely justified at the moment, given what's going on. And, AEW, man, they stacked it last night. It felt like they packed about 3 shows into one show, like from what you would expect from anyone else. Like Raw would have dragged that out over a month. But Shaquille O'Neal was in town, getting wet, apparently. The Young Bucks opened the show. We had Sting and Cody, Kid. We had a lot going on. Inner Circle as well. Man, it was loaded. I guess, Steph, we'll start from the top. What did you make of the Young Bucks opener?
I thought this was really good. I thought it was a really good showing for Hybrid 2. Just a really great fun match to kick it off. It got quite a bit of time considering how stacked the show was, but yeah, I thought they put on such a good show, Hybrid, that I almost thought they were going to get the win there, but they didn't. But yeah, a really good match, and the AEW tag division, I think, just keeps getting better.
Absolutely. I remember watching Jack Evans and Helico at the first Double or Nothing and thinking, wow, like if this is just a random team that they have, like, because I didn't know too much about them prior to that, and I was just like, wow, okay, they're really, really good as well. And it just shows you how deep they are, because if you were to rattle off the top teams in AEW, let's say you do the first 5 teams, they might not be a team that actually springs to mind.
No.
But that's not really their fault. It's how stacked the tag division is.
Yeah, and it feels like the past couple of months that they've been kind of on a bit of a break almost until recently. And now, yeah, I thought they were really great. A great match, great opener, just to get people excited for a show that had so much on it that the fact that they were even doing matches on this show, when you look at what they had on it, it's like, where are they finding the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I might be wrong, but I hope I'm not because I was there. I think it was them versus Best Friends at Double or Nothing, which was a really good match. And again, a showcase of not just the big names that have been brought in, like LAX / Pride and Powerful, Lucha Bros, again, who have, I mean, you think about those two, they've pretty much been out of the tag title picture for a while, and they are amazing. So, yeah, good stuff to start off the show. I liked a high energy match. Very good. Very, very good.
Inside to Hybrid Theory, is there a gear? Gear is, I don't like gear at all. I would get some new gear.
Yeah. Listen to Steph Chase, Hybrid 2. Come on. If you're evolving that much, come on now. We did see FTR as well have a little bit of a interview later on in the show as well, Steph. That it kind of suggested that the Young Bucks and FTR 2 isn't that far around the corner, but not yet either.
Yeah. FTR, I feel like they're kind of in a position of, it's like, what do you do with them? Like they built themselves up so much and then they lost the biggest match of their career, which isn't great. And they're in a rebuilding phase where they're either going to have to just beat everyone until they go back to the Young Bucks again, or kind of hotshot the rematch for the next pay-per-view in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about the bigger talking points then, since the action is pretty much overshadowed by what's going on for the rest of this show. Sting. Let's start off with Sting, because he was pretty early in the show. I was surprised, in fact, how early he was. What did you make of the use of him? Because I actually thought the whole thing with Cody and just the arm around him at the end and the kid and then Cody's kind of face, I thought, so it looks like down the road that could be the match we're going to get.
Yeah, if we're getting a match, it feels like it's him and Cody, but I loved this segment so much because they have, it's been mentioned, it was mentioned quite a bit last week about Cody was this little stinger, and here we go. His idol comes to AEW, and one of the first thing he says is, "I'm not here for you." And then you get that great pan around when he's saying how familiar things are to Darby sitting, in kind of a Sting position there, up in the stands. Yeah. And then he's kind of just like, yeah, how I choose to play this is my business. And that kind of like, see you around kid type thing. It's great. It just made me feel like, I don't know, like something from a comic book where like Cody was like this little kid idolizing Sting. And, they say never meet your heroes. And that could be what the storyline they're going for with Cody is, don't meet your heroes because they may just not be on your side.
I mean, I don't know this like personally, but I'm assuming if there was anyone that lobbied for Sting to come to AEW, it would have been Cody. Yeah. So I am of the opinion that it probably is in the works, that that's what they're going to be going towards. But there are a ton of things you can do with Sting as well, though, as we discussed last week.
And I've always had this theory that Cody and Darby, there's like a little big brother, little brother thing going on between Cody and Darby, where Cody's kind of the rich kid, like privileged guy, and Darby's like his little brother that rejected that to be, this crazy stunt guy, maybe even living on the streets and stuff, while Cody's in the Rhodes mansion. But they have this like level of respect between them. And I loved their TNT title match so much, and it felt like there was so much going on between them. And now it's like Sting has come to throw a spanner in this, because it's kind of like Cody is saying Sting is my idol, but is he actually Darby's daddy? And is that what's going on?
Is he his daddy? Have to say as well, on that segment, how wholesome was the cuddle, the hug between Tony and Sting?
It was lovely. I think one of my favorite things about this first year or two with AEW is that it's made Tony Schiavone happy again. I really have such sentimental feelings towards Tony Schiavone, and now like they've brought in his friend, so it's great.
I feel like Tony Schiavone, full stop, has kind of grown and almost come out of a little bit of a shell since he joined AEW. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry. No, I think the position that he was in, like he did do some work for a couple of years, but I don't think he was comfortable being Tony Schiavone, and I don't think he was invested. And he's really AEW's brought him to life again, and he's the Tony Schiavone I remember, and it is just lovely to see.
How awesome, and I'm saying it was awesome, was Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone on Impact.
Are we going to get into this? Yeah.
Well, yes, we'll do this one first. Yeah.
Okay. I loved this so much. Tony Khan, we've not seen him as a character in AEW, and there's been this whole kind of, thank God he's not a character in AEW, because we see so much of this owner authority figure storyline that's been played out by WWE so much because it worked once, but with two very special people, and then never worked again. But this was great. And Tony, I think Tony is doing Vince McMahon in Memphis. I think that's what he's doing. He's coming over. He's going to be a character on Impact. And he had these great, like, sly little digs in at Impact that weren't too far. And just the idea of him being, and like, he didn't even appear in a suit. He didn't even appear like a money man.
Yeah.
He just had his shirt on. But he was saying, you came on my show. I invited you on my show, but I have paid for this advert on your show, and I'm going to say whatever I want. And he had the little dig about, Tony Schiavone working in TNA and then quitting
the business.
So good. It was just little things like that. And like the way he was talking, like, it's fine, Kenny. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Like, it was great. And I think if Tony is going to be a character anywhere, making him a character on Impact is just a fantastic, like, genius move. And he showed a level of kind of charisma I don't think we'd seen before in him. I think he just felt very natural doing it, and it was great. I loved seeing Tony Khan, and especially to bring Tony Schiavone with him was just brilliant.
Yeah, I thought Schiavone played it amazing with his deadpan response. He was like, well, Tony Khan said, well, weren't you there for a cup of coffee? And he goes, yeah, once. And then I just left the business for 18 years. It was just really, really good. And Tony Khan as well, some noteworthy things he was saying was like, maybe I'll buy Impact. Just very, very cavalier, like, maybe I'll buy it. And,
it's just so great. They've taken his championship, brought it over to their show. And he's like, yeah, I can pay for an ad, and maybe I couldn't even buy you outright. So
yeah, don't worry about that. As well, he said, which is very telling, was about the Young Bucks, and he mentioned the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I am assuming he didn't do that for no reason, and that's very exciting to me.
Yeah, it is. I think obviously Tony Khan knows that we're all booking our dream matches, and I think a lot of people are saying, well, the way Impact can help AEW is with the women's division, but they can also help the tag division as well, because who doesn't just want amazing tag matches? And Impact really offer that, especially with the Motor City Machine Guns and the Good Brothers as well. And he was just planting little seeds of how big this thing can actually be, because I think a lot of people are in a way cynical that they don't want to believe that it's actually as big a thing as it might really be. And yeah, it was great. It was a great program.
Well, we'll move to Don Callis and Kenny, and that will bring us to Kenny as well on Wednesday. I've seen a lot of people be a bit like, they expected more, but then it's one of those, if you actually look deeper into it, Kenny set the table. And for me personally, I thought Don Callis knocked it out of the park. I said this yesterday. I thought on the Impact episode, his promo was spectacular, I thought. And you can't give it all away at once. They did have the teases. Kenny was like, well, maybe I'll face the Impact champion. You had Rich Swann being denied entry to the car park while they were there. So it seems like that's probably the direction they're going. Again, would be weird to tease that for nothing. I felt like it was a good job. And the only argument to that I've seen on Twitter today would be that maybe they expected more from Kenny, promo-wise. Not that the promo wasn't good, but the content of the promo. on Wednesday, they felt like it was rehashed a lot of what happened on Impact. Would you agree with that? And what did you make of both of the segments?
Right. So I'll start from the Impact. I thought the way Dawn and Kenny came into Impact, being on this bus, just waiting in the parking lot for when Josh Matthews was summoned, was fantastic. Like Kenny, they both looked so big time. Don Callis is a late entry for promo of the year. For his work on Impact and Dynamite as well. It was great. I loved the Rich Swann being, told he couldn't enter. I think, and I said this to you earlier in the week, Alex, on your Talk Sports show, Kenny is going to be Impact champion very soon. I 100% believe that's where this is going. Kenny is belt collecting. In Don and Kenny's promo on the bus, they really played into that idea. He's the AAA champion as well. So he's already a belt collector, and he's just going to add to it. And Impact can kind of afford that because they have the TNA championship that Moose has. So it's not as if you'd be leaving them without a belt if they took the belt out off Rich Swann and brought it to Kenny. But Don's promo was fantastic because what I like in wrestling, I like logic and I like long-term storytelling. This is long-term storytelling in that it's been going on for 30 years maybe this has been in the making, because they can tell that story. Like, they told a real life story. Don Callis was trained by the Golden Sheik, Kenny's uncle. Kenny did meet Don as a kid, and Don Callis as well was the person who planted the seed that turned into AEW. If Don Callis had never had that idea to do Omega and Jericho at the Dome, we wouldn't have an AEW. And he has been able to work that into an actual storyline. And this idea that he was the invisible hand behind Kenny Omega's entire career is fantastic, and it makes sense, and it works. And I think the only, I wouldn't really say it's negative, but it was kind of the same promo twice pretty much on two nights. But I didn't expect anything bigger, because these two right now, with what they're doing, they have the power. In the storyline, they have the power. So if Kenny and Don want to just stroll out and basically rehash the same things, they can, because he's the champion. And Don was just great, and he's an absolute total genius. And I did spend many years wondering where Don Callis was, and now I know exactly what he was doing. He was drawing up this complete master plan, and there's so many other things that you can tie into that people haven't even thought about yet, because Don Callis, like Kenny Omega, is a Winnipegger. Don Callis is Jericho's best friend in the wrestling business in real life. There's so many other real life things that they can tie into this to make it even more massive than it already is. And I think if Don, and it's almost like a CM Punk, Paul Heyman type relationship, because Kenny's not the best promo in the world, but he's a good promo. So he's not a guy that needs someone to talk for him, but the kind of talking dynamic that they have reminds me more of Heyman than Punk, than maybe, than like a Heyman or a Brock or something. Yeah,
more of a collaboration kind of thing, right? And I think you're right on Kenny, but him as this character, I'm drawn to. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So even if he's not like a Rock or Ric Flair or something like that, kind of the aura of the character that he has at the moment, it's not so much in, I don't think he needs to nail like a 10-minute diatribe. I'm just really into the way he's acting and stuff like that. Yeah. And go on. Sorry. What I was going to say is I loved how they lit up Josh Matthews with the whole, weren't you? You're pretty chummy with Ambrose, aren't you? You were on the first season of Tough Enough. And they're calling him the Stamford Stooge. That was so good.
Some people take a swipe at AEW for making little WWE references. But to me, it's like, if you can acknowledge stuff like that, you're just adding layers to the story,
Even calling him Ambrose, I thought, do you know what I mean? Just a little thing. I liked it. I would have liked, like you just said, a little bit more to the Wednesday promo. I believe they teased a big announcement that didn't ultimately really come. And that's something that really I would criticize WWE for in the past. But having said that, I do agree with what you just said. The way that they're kind of owning
the wrestling landscape at the moment. I mean, if this led, I don't know how possible this is, but if he picks up the Impact title, he's got AAA, he's got AEW. If it somehow leads to the New Japan thing, SB3 was talking about this yesterday with Kota being in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom and stuff. Like, it could all come, it really could, but I don't know how possible it is, and if I'm just getting my hopes up too much. But I mean, the possibilities are all there, and I feel like at the moment Kenny is walking on that. A lot of people have said, and I'm one of these too, like, you know, you can't deny that Kenny is like an amazing wrestler. But they were like, but is he like a massive star like whoever? And I feel like now is the first time that a lot of people who maybe didn't know his work that well before are like, he is feeling and he's walking and looking like a total star. And Don Callis is important to that, by the way.
Oh, he is. Kenny's a star when he presents himself like a star. And I think that this was all what he was doing earlier this year, tag team wrestling, everything. This is all completely calculated to lead up to this. It's him putting on like the full Omega. And what I am kind of hoping does happen is that he runs through a lot of people, whether they be AEW people, Impact people, AAA people, whatever. And if there's someone that needs to come and maybe save everyone or like let Kenny remember the person he was before, maybe that's Kota. And maybe and maybe instead Kenny beats Kota and he just fully stays on the dark side because he's loving this high rolling life with Don Callis. They had a helicopter.
I mean, damn. Yeah. I think at the moment it's good. I mean, for any angle, I guess the barometer is like how excited you are to see where it's going. I'm very excited to see the destination. Let's move along to something that I've seen again, a hit and a miss. But I mean, to me, again, I'm kind of like, well, I'll see where it goes. Shaquille O'Neal. Let's see. Now it kind of ended with there was a lot of stuff happened. There was the backstage stuff with Jade Cargill, Brandy, Nyla Rose, Vicky Guerrero, and a whole bunch of people got involved, and it was like, oh, okay, this is a full-on war now out of nowhere. Shaq got a glass of water over him from another sassy Brandy Rhodes. A lot going on, Steph.
Yeah, from my understanding, I'm not sure if this is correct. This is something that was kind of wedged in because they got Shaquille free at that time to do this, and it almost felt like it as well. But it was good. I'm just not sure where it's going because it originally felt like it was like, you know, Jade comes out there and is confronting Cody to tell him that she's got this big man Shaq that can take him down, and then Brandy gets involved, and now we see Shaq just basically being like, you know, Jade's someone I really care about, and I'm sorry she went after you. And now it's kind of turned into, is it Jade and Brandy that were?
Yeah, is that really the story? Because it seemed like Shaq and Cody was, but that didn't really seem to be the plan last night, did it? He was kind of busy with Sting, I guess. So
yeah, I think that's maybe when they set up this whole Shaq thing. I feel like they were told you might be able to have Shaq, and they were like, okay, but because we can't do anything concrete, let's plant different things. And by this time now, Cody's distracted with Sting and everything else that's going on, and so I guess it's Brandy and Jade. And then the attack seemed like it wasn't meant to be on the same show as the Shaq thing, and maybe it actually wasn't, and that's why it felt like that.
I mean, still, like, I like, and I've seen people kind of debate this as well, I like the full of fire Brandy Rhodes personally. Yeah. I've seen people be like, oh, you know, I mean, I saw a couple of reputable, I use that word scantily, but, you know, on Twitter kind of going like, oh, you know, Brandy's involved again. And I was like, don't crap on it before it plays out. Do you know what I like? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like she's done well so far in this angle, personally.
There's some really bad discourse online about Brandy. And I think that's a lot of sexism. I think anytime Brandy's in an angle, it's like, oh no, it's Brandy, it's Cody's wife. Like, you see that so much. And I just think that's wrong. Like, Brandy can really, I've always thought Brandy added so much to Cody and Cody's character, and her being inserted in any of these storylines. It doesn't bother me at all. I think she does a really good job. But I think that what we've seen of her so far in this angle is some of the best work that we've seen that she's done in AEW.
I agree. It's my favorite version of Brandy thus far. Obviously, Jade Cargill continues to look dangerous. I mean, is there an alliance there with Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose? It was kind of teased as much. So I'm interested to see where they go with that. And I'm very interested to see Jade in action.
Yeah,
when that comes to pass. She looked
amazing.
Yeah, even last night when all the women were kind of there, she looks like huge. Like, I don't mean like, bulky, like beefy. I just mean like she's tall, lean. I was like, well, Jesus, she could really do some damage. I want to see if it matches it in the ring. So I'm interested. I'm very interested. Speaking of interest, the Inner Circle have been one of my favorite stables for a long time. And, things we said maybe they broke down a bit quick. But last night, the promo segment, what did you make of it?
Oh, I love this. Of course.
Jericho at his best, was it not?
It was Jericho at his best. They sorted things out. They did it in such a great way. I loved when MJF said that Sammy was going to throw in the towel, and Jericho was like, "No, I watched the show though, and that's not true." Like finally a wrestler that watches the show that he's on to see what happened, because so many times we don't get that in WWE. So I thought that was great. MJF was really great on the mic as well, and Ortiz was fantastic.
Really good. Yeah, surprisingly good.
Like, there's a guy that needs a shot in the mic more. He does, and he's really kind of come into himself, because he could easily be lost in that group, and that really showed him off. And then once Sammy and MJF made up, that was lovely. But Hager interrupting, saying that Wardlow's been staring at him, and then Wardlow speaks, made my night. I am so here for anything between Hager and Wardlow. And I think that what they need to do is the two of them decide, all right, why don't we just team up? Why don't we be a tag team? Because I think that Jericho would be better right now teaming with Sammy, to kind of give Sammy that rub after all the stuff Sammy went through with Matt Hardy. Like, team him with Jericho. If Jericho wants to do tag team wrestling, team up Hager and Wardlow, and like, what a combination that would be. So I thought those two were really funny to end it. But great segment. The Inner Circle, stronger than ever.
Wonderfully entertaining. It really was. And that kind of led us to the main event segment. It was obviously MJF and Orange Cassidy battling for the diamond ring. And now, so there was a lot of shenanigans at the end, of course, and there was a lot of battling at ringside. And it seems like next week we've got, and I want to get this right, a 14-man match. So,
14,
the first time that the Inner Circle are like actually going to fight as a collective, as a 7. That's going down next week on Dynamite. Steph, what did you make of the main event?
I thought it was good. There was a lot of shenanigans, of course, but you've got MJF and Orange Cassidy in there. I thought there were some of the shenanigan spots were pretty clever, especially Orange Cassidy making it look like MJF had hit him with the bat. That was really good. But what surprised me was the ending with Miro, and I think that because AEW knows that there was a lot of eyes on the show last night.
Yes.
That I think they were making a statement of, you think we've messed up Miro? Well, here is the Miro that you want. This crazy guy that just can destroy everyone. Like one of those what he was, security guard, cameraman, whatever, took one heck of a bump from Miro. Miro was in a very nice discounted Versace jumper, which is now sold out online, because I looked it up.
Wow. Okay. I actually thought, Miro was, I like I said, I thought the Battle Royal appearance for him was a great sort of jumping off point to the extra edge that his character has now. He's angry and he's ready to tear people apart, and I'm cool with that, and that's the Miro agreed that I want to see. So
Kip looked taken aback when he saw Miro get that angry. I think Kip had a look on his face like, hey man, you're my video game buddy. calm it down a bit, you know.
No, I like it. I thought it achieved everything it needed to, really. True Hill Heat in the house, SB3. Hey, man.
Hey.
I was just confused on whether Brandy was a heel or a face. It felt disconnected. I think she's a baby face that just has some fire. I like it. I mean, that's the way I'm interpreting it, Steph.
I think she was a face, and I think all women know that she's a face because Shaq was being very patronizing.
You, Mr. Shaquille. So overall, like, considering that they, we spent half an hour there, considering that they stacked the show,
Mm-hmm.
I felt it delivered on the bits that they needed to.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Pretty much every match had an angle, led to something. And yeah, it delivered. I don't think there was one major thing like last week where we had two major things that, would make you stay up for an extra 2 hours to think about it. But it was a great, like, moving plot along episodes.
Yeah, and like when they've got that many stories going that are really interesting, that's a credit to the show in itself. You got to remember, this is weekly TV, and they're turning out kind of these angles and segments. And WWE can be accused of really dragging their feet with stuff like this sometimes, where they'll just go, yeah, and here's another rematch. Do you know what I mean? They'll just go, yeah, move this feud along. Whereas I feel like AEW at least are giving it good attention. So I'm happy with the direction they're going in at the moment. Let's hit a first Ultra Chat of the night, because we have one from AEW, and it is CM Chris. Hey, CM Chris, the greatest egg there ever was. Good evening, Alex and Stephanie. I love it when people give you the full name treatment.
It's really important.
Watched AEW Dynamite this afternoon. AEW really did put on a very good show again. Some fun matches and promos. Great to see Sting being back on TNT. Also, the 7 reference by the Dark Order, hashtag EGE. That's very cool. Steph, do you want to alert to the people what happened there with old Dustin?
I think we need to, I think I need to say the whole Dark Order thing, because firstly, we saw John Silver and Alex Reynolds, my two favorite friendly neighborhood cult recruiters, go and talk to Adam Page, who needs tag team partners, and they just popped up from behind the bar. If you saw Being the Elite, it was a great Being the Elite this week, because they want Adam Page in the Dark Order. So they left a little trail of whiskey shots for Adam Page to come find them. But sadly, when Adam found them, they were all too drunk. It was a really, really great segment. But, John Silver's the man.
Love John Silver.
Yeah, but Paige agreed to team with them and was like, look, I'm not joining your cult, but I will team with you. So that was awesome. And then when they came out later, so after Dustin won, Evil Uno came and told Dustin that he was the third most important member of the Rhodes family in AEW and asked him to join the Dark Order as number 7. And everyone watching will know that Dustin Rhodes was 7 in TNA, and it was terrible. So it was a great, great throwback. Just Dustin's face hearing the word 7, he must have been like, I blocked that out of it. Like Dustin Rhodes counts like 5, 6, 8, 9 because he's blocked out of his mind. And it was just such a great little funny, like an Easter egg joke. But of course, Dustin did not join the Dark Order. That's fine. We don't need you, Dustin, because Hangman Page is going to join.
Well, let's move on to NXT then. I don't think this will take as long as AEW. Yeah. All right. Let me start with a disclaimer, as Steph will attest. I have been beating the drum of how NXT has improved over the past few weeks. I felt like heading into War Games, they had 2 weeks running, perhaps the best matches out of the Wednesday Night Wars or match, the top match. And I do feel like they ramped it up towards that pay-per-view. And I was very happy with the direction they're moving in. Last night was a completely missable episode for me. And that really, I think people who know me best know that pains me to say, but NXT just did not do much of anything last night. Yeah, Karrion Kross returned, but they did it so badly. Like it's crazy to say that was a missable episode when Karrion Kross returned. That was one of the weakest returns for someone who had been built up to be this major killer monster force that I've ever seen.
it was terrible.
Yeah, it's it's for anyone who didn't see, he came back and took out Damian Priest, and that's kind of left him out of the North American title picture apparently for now. But enter in Kushida. That's the one thing I will say I did like. Kushida now is targeting Johnny Gargano, and I have to assume or hope that Kushida will be the man to continue the curse of Gargano and take that title from him at the next juncture. So I hope that's the case. Yeah. Pete Dunne continues to look great. I'm happy with that. But the opener of the show...
He doesn't talk great, though.
No, that's not his main forte. The opening of the show, you had Finn coming back. He kind of did this steely promo into the camera, but then he was interrupted by, in order, Pete Dunne, Damian Priest was last, and Kyle O'Reilly came after Pete Dunne. I mean, you know, you got Kyle O'Reilly doing fake British accents and stuff. When you actually look at how the show ended up playing out, none of it really meant much at all.
It was so badly written. It sounded like it was written by 5 or 6 people in different rooms that then just, you know, put it together. It was like when you draw and you do like one little bit and you fold it and you give it to your friend and you see what you come up with. Like that's what this show was like writing wise. The opening promo was just bad, and it was just, you know, you've got Finn Balor here and Kyle took him out. Pete comes out for no reason, and it's kind of like, yeah, we're both not from America. Hi. And like the guy, it's like WWE themselves know how great Pat McAfee is, but it's like they can't figure out why. It's because he's not using your terrible scripting. Because look at Pete Dunne, like it's awful. And then you've got Kyle O'Reilly, he's got a claim with Finn Balor. Damian Priest, no reason, is there. And then, but luckily for Damian Priest, him showing up for no reason was fine, because then Scarlett showed up for no reason to alert us the fact that Karrion Kross was going to come. So what a lovely coincidence. And yeah, and even Balor was kind of just like, oh, shove this. Regal can pick who faces me.
Yeah, I mean, so weird. Like, even like I didn't get it either. Like mid promo, Finn Balor was like, he just sacks it off. He just starts walking up the ramp, and you're like, what? What does that mean? And then, as we say, like when I saw Scarlett, I thought, like, you know, to me, she's someone who has that magnetic star power. She does look great, but again, it was like, what? So Damian Priest had to kind of like insult her for some reason. And that brings back Karrion Kross. So that's what the only like what like, is that the only way you could bring him back? Like,
my question is, why was she there? If Damian Priest hadn't have insulted her, like, or was she there because she was gonna go like Karrion Kross was gonna go after Finn Balor, but she got offended by Damian Priest, so turned her attention away from the champion to go after a guy that was a little bit mean to her? It was silly. But I'm starting to get the feeling that they are doing what WWE always do and cooling someone off. Like they were so high on Karrion Kross, he gets injured and he's coming back and they're like, maybe he wasn't that great, because it felt like a real diluting of the character of him and Scarlett last night.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before and I almost feel guilty because I hate kind of like dampening on talent without good reason or whatever, but I just don't. I'm not huge on Karrion Kross like some people are. It doesn't work for me, this whole monster who just runs through everyone. Like I'm a bit like, you know, don't get me wrong, like he's not a bad worker or anything, but he ain't Lesnar, is he? Like he's not like an enormous, intimidating bloke where I'm like, oh my god, like who could possibly stop him? There are tons of blokes who could stop Karrion Kross on the NXT roster. You know, I just. Like when I thought about him and Keith Lee, I never thought he should have really gone over Keith Lee. But I get it now. Yeah, Keith Lee, okay, he's moved up and they're trying to make someone. But I don't buy the aura that NXT are trying to sell me with Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross to me, and this might be a hot take, or just some very harsh words. Karrion Kross is like the example / turning point of everything that's wrong with NXT right now. I think it was when Karrion Kross came in, and that's when things went downhill, when he came in with this, frankly, to me, quite silly character, Scarlett, the entrance, all this stuff. That's when NXT started becoming a bit too much like main roster and went on a downturn. I think NXT was a lot better when NXT was the wrestling show, the straight wrestling show. It ain't anymore. And Karrion Kross to me was the first kind of big moment where I was like, ooh, we're on network TV now, and someone's watching over Triple H a little more closely than they were before.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I felt like when NXT was great, which is 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago as well, it was amazing. Everything that I love in a wrestling show.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I have the NXT that I loved at the moment. Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and Austin, whatever his name is. Yeah. For some reason, every time I start saying Austin, I'm like, I know it's not Austin Aries, but like that name pops to my mind. They have obviously formed a stable called The Way. If Johnny Gargano couldn't have made that any clearer in the promo. I mean, I like stables, so okay, fine. I'll see where it goes. It depends how they use Theory and Hartwell. Obviously, you assume that Indy's will get some time now because Candice is hurt. So I don't. I've got nothing bad to say about it, but nothing. I'm not particularly excited by the people that they've recruited either. Like Austin Theory is someone I'm a bit like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a fine development, but yeah. I mean, okay, another stable, interesting. It's a male and female stable. Okay, it's fine. I just think it's all about Candice and Johnny anyways. They've just added 2 people so both of them can do tag matches.
I don't think like this isn't like a terrible show. Like I didn't sit through it and I was like, God, this is unbearable. Like with Raw, I've done sometimes. Like there are some redeeming features, but it is just so. Like I said, to me, it felt kind of mundane and missable. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh because the redeeming features they do have are the women still, and Triple H seems to know that because he has them in the main event once again, where he has Raquel picked up a massive victory over Ember Moon. It really looks like she is the next challenger for Io Shirai, and I'm down to watch that match because Rhea Ripley and Io was amazing. Rhea and Raquel are very, very similar in terms of approach, and I think the chemistry could easily be there too. Toni Storm as well. She's kind of really finding her feet in the heel role, I guess, and like NXT have got a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to their women, and it seems like they're well aware that is their strong suit at the moment. I said this on the call to Triple H last week, and I don't think it's coincidence. They are in the most important slots for them. Yeah.
The women are the highlight of NXT. They've got so much talent. If Raquel wants to be the one to beat Io and Io goes to help out the main roster, that's totally fine with me because they have so many women underneath there. And I think, I almost feel that if Triple H is being watched over by Vince McMahon, Vince watches the men's stuff more, and Triple H can get away with some better stuff with the women.
There's something going on. That's what I will say on that one. Let's move along to some other Ultra Chats that are in the chamber. And remember, guys, we're about to get into some now. So now is the time to hit us with WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2. Get those Ultra Chats in for Steph Chase to answer and debate with you. So now is the time, guys. Make sure you do. Wow. Okay, Matthew McCoskey is first up from NXT. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
Man, he's always first in somehow, but CM Chris pipped him this week by virtue of category. So Matthew McCoskey says, I mean, he's first. He's put it with no spaces because he's using every character. Apparently, he's gone save room by no spaces, sending because Stephanie. There you go. You're the draw here, Steph. NXT Women's Tag. NXT's Women's / Tag Division looking great. Random, but I will. This is incredibly hard to read without spaces, by the way. Random, but we'll say it. Ciampa Thatcher to win DRC. Finally, a match that won't happen but needs to. Balor, Priest, Cross, Kyle O'Reilly, Dunn, and Ciampa inside Elimination Chamber. God, this would effing bang my brains out. I mean, that was a real life labor to read. Please give me spaces moving forward.
You can call me Steph if you want to see.
Yeah, there you go. What more do you want than that, Matthew? I mean, I don't think NXT will get Elimination Chamber, but that's a damn fine lineup if they were ever to do so. You're not wrong at all. I mean, look, I look at O'Reilly and Dunn, and I said this the other day. I think their chemistry is like insane. Like the match they had the other week, the stuff they did together inside War Games. I think that they're magic together. If you can somehow get that with Finn Balor in the picture, maybe a 3-way with a title, so that's a takeover match to me. Like that would absolutely bang. I'd be very happy to watch that. So I don't know what direction they're going in. I will say though that Ciampa Thatcher. I assume you meant Dusty Rhodes Classic. Now that I've now that I'm thinking about it, and they're a tag team, I actually wouldn't mind that. No, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think NXT have done well in the past with Samoa Joe and Finn Balor spring to mind. People coming together. Obviously, Pete Dunne and Riddle is another example. And I did enjoy the steely kind of stare. You don't know what's really happening after Ciampa's victory over Cameron Grimes, which was a very forgettable match. So, Steph, have you got any thoughts on the landscape there?
I do agree that would be good, Thatcher and Ciampa. And I just felt like when you were talking about Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly, just how much better NXT would be if it focused on guys like that, because they're the guys that don't get called up. It's going to be your Karrion Crosses that get called up, and it's going to be, even though I do like him, it's going to be a Damian Priest, when really what NXT is about is these kind of more pure, wrestler guys that seem to be like they're the backbone of NXT, and it'd be great if they were focused on more rather than something with Karrion Kross where fire comes out of a book or whatever.
Yeah, it feels like Vince will always call up size regardless. But there you go. George Amin! Hello, man.
Hello.
He says, after his match with Cross, Priest should go to the main roster. There you go. Ties in nicely with what Steph was just saying. Is there that much for Priest left in NXT, Steph?
No, I don't think so. I would probably debut Priest at the Rumble and give him a good enough show. But he's a guy, I think, especially these past few months, he's improved a lot, and he's showing that he's built up the other sides to him, especially the talking side. And yeah, he'd be a good addition to the main roster.
Yeah, I just when he first came to NXT, I was a bit like, I don't get it. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit like, the character wasn't really for me. But I've grown to really like him through his in-ring work, because I don't think you can really deny he's put on some great matches, particularly on takeovers. I've really grown to like Priest. Even yesterday, it was really simple, where he basically came to the top of the ramp for the second segment, and he was like, I'm going to come put this up your ass, basically. Like, but it was like simple but effective. It wasn't like trying to make him this party boy like they were really trying to do for a while. Like, just, make him a big bad man.
I think it's one of those things, like they looked at him and they got to know him and they're like, okay, what are you? You're cool. But then they took it like too far. Yeah. Where he's like, instead of being like a cool, like nonchalant guy, it's like, oh, he's so cool. He gets in a hot tub with two women. It's like, we don't need that. He should be more like a laid back, I'm so cool I don't even have to, flaunt it type way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not really like, I don't look at my wrestlers and go, man, they're in a hot tub with some birds. That's, do you know what I mean? Like that logic of thinking, I'm a bit like, that's a bit of a weird book. Anyway, WWE chats. Matthew McCoskey is up once again, and this time he's giving me spaces. Thank you, Matthew.
Hey.
Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee. Keith Lee to win the Rumble. Challenges McIntyre. Brock Lesnar comes out to demand a rematch. Mania 37 triple threat. Keith pins Brock, becoming champion, but also protecting Drew. This is a must happen. Bang Brains. He really, Matthew really wants Bang Brains to get over. I can't hate his application, Steph. He's dedicated to it. Listen, if that was to happen, I don't think there'd be many people that'd be upset. Keith Lee is a guy who surely is destined for big things like that. And it also makes a degree of sense because I firmly believe that when Brock comes back, probably his first target is Drew, based on the fact that he's, storyline wise, Drew's basically run him out of town for a year or so. So makes the world of sense. And it's an easy way to plug someone in there. Now, that's probably an easy way as well of getting a match out of Brock, which isn't a finisher fest like they had at WrestleMania.
And I also think that Brock, given his reaction to Keith Lee in the Rumble, will want to fight Keith Lee. So motivated Brock is the best Brock.
Oh, absolutely is. There's a lot they can do there. Even the little thing that they had at the Rumble was amazing, as Steph says. Matty, the hot Scott. Hey, Matty. Hey, Steph. Hey, Alex. Oh, the Steph treatment. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you, brother. Can we talk about the WrestleVotes tweet with plans for Mania? Orton, Edge, and the triple threat. Yes, please. Goldberg, Reigns. No, thanks. Also, Steph, now's your chance to fire Alex VKM style. Steph, if you haven't seen it this week, we have been doing Vincent Kennedy McMahon, you're fired impressions.
Uh-huh.
And I believe now is your turn.
Oh, no.
Well, he's paid his money, Steph, so come on now.
You're fired!
Yeah, that's the best one. I didn't expect so much damn bass in your voice, Steph. I think those in the chat let us know. I'm saying Steph for the win this week. Can't argue with that. Good stuff. Let me quickly pull up the WrestleVotes tweet. The WrestleMania card coming at some point tomorrow. And today they said WrestleMania source stress nothing is close to official or concrete, but as a working idea, the following is what's being considered. Reigns versus Goldberg. That's my reaction. Edge versus Orton, and an interesting twist. McIntyre versus Lesnar versus Keith Lee, as Matthew McCarthy, our good friend, alluded to. Lots of variables in play, especially the attendance factor. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Edge Orton, well, it's a given, right? We all know that that's what's going to happen.
It's like inevitable, so I just have to be like, yes, sure, but please make it last time, thank you.
Yeah, maybe don't make it a 40-minute punch. I mean, to be fair, Backlash, they killed it. Give me something like that. Cool. I think both men have said they want to finish their story. I'm gagging for Edge to work with new people, but I will let them close this up first. Reigns, Goldberg, if it means Roman steamrolls the ever-loving crap out of Goldberg, then I'm fine with it. If it's anything other than that, I am not fine with it. And even that is a waste of Roman, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say Roman has worked so hard these past couple months to lumber him with Goldberg. It's a disgrace. Like, that is terrible. What is a logical storyline for Goldberg? Roman Reigns, given the character that he is, the head of the table, if Goldberg came up to him and wanted to challenge him, a guy like Roman Reigns would be, go away. Like, why are you even here, old man? You did stuff like 20 years ago. I don't care. What does Roman need to prove by beating Goldberg? Like, just build up a great storyline for. If you can't get The Rock, build up something great using one of the guys that you have. You have so many guys. Use one of them to make a great storyline. We do not need to see Goldberg ever again.
No, we really don't. But I assume the story they'll build on is that Roman bottled their WrestleMania main event, and thus Goldberg feels they need to run it back. I mean, I have zero interest in it, but again, I would take it as like a Saudi show where Roman just runs through him on the way to Mania. Like, I think it's a waste. I agree with Steph. I think it is a waste. There's a lot more you could do with Roman. If you're the hottest character in the business, partnering him with Goldberg is not my idea of taking things to the next level or making the most of it.
No,
Sorry, it isn't. Yeah, exactly. The triple threat. I mean, if that is what comes to pass, man, I'm down. I'm absolutely down. We have another one from Bo Hill, the elite good egg himself. Oh Jesus, yeah, he's really put on us. So we got this, and then we got a video that we need to get to as well. What are some of your favorite wrestling storylines of all time? Not the ones that people consider the best, just your personal favorites. That's a hard question because, like, the ones that you love normally have a great payoff, and I've got a ton in WWE that the story's great,
yeah,
and then they just take it either too far or in the wrong direction, and it's like in essence, Stone Cold getting run over when I was a kid, I was like, whoa, like who was it? Like all I could think about was who would run over Stone Cold, and then we all know that played out. So I'll think of another one, I guess. But Steph, what you got?
I'm not sure if ones I'm going to think of off the top of my head are kind of underappreciated ones. I will always love Undertaker and Kane being brothers. I will never fight my brother. I always love Triple H and The Rock's Intercontinental title feud in 1998. More random ones, Raven in WCW hating his family and turning out to be a rich kid. That's one that sticks with me. What else?
I will say Rock and Sock is one of my favorites of all time. Like just how they gradually became friends. And I didn't think it would really happen, and it did. I remember loving Kane and X-Pac originally as well, because Kane had
Corey.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of went a bit too far. But originally, when they were becoming friends, and then it was like "suck it" and like all of the weird voice box stuff, like because Kane had never had any layers really, I was loving it.
Yeah, for a modern one, I'd say Jericho Owens.
Yes, absolutely, that was great, and I still feel sorry for Owens going back after Mania, and Vince is like, "That was crap." Like, oh, what? I didn't think it was that bad. Like
it wasn't. It was the problem was that they didn't get what they were deserved and originally promised for the match. Like,
and why is that, Steph? Because fucking Goldberg had to win the title to face Lesnar. You couldn't just have Goldberg versus Lesnar. You had to have Kevin Owens in his only title reign lose to Goldberg.
Man, I was going to say just because Vince McMahon's a terrible booker, but you were more specific.
There's that. There is that. All right, let's see what the video is coming into play. And I think Steph Chase will have some things to say.
Hi, Alex and Louis. My hot take is that I think Pat McAfee just needs to go away. I know I've just finished watching the Thursday episode with Steph Chase and she loves Pat McAfee, but I just honestly, anytime he talks, it's just like, just leave. Stephen Larson agreed with me. I watched Stephen Larson going in Raw, and it's the same thing week on week. I have money. Oh, everyone sucks. I hate wrestling fans. It's just go away. It does nothing for the Undisputed Era, and I feel really sorry for Pete Dunne. But yeah, cheers, guys.
Matthew, first of all, Steph's going to come in hot here, I feel. First of all, sweet Collie Ray shirt. Second of all, I'm going to let Steph take the floor.
That is an incredibly bad take. So congrats to him for doing one of the worst takes I've seen so far. Pat McAfee is one of maybe two things that I actually like in WWE right now. The other being Roman Reigns. Pat McAfee, yeah, he does come out and say that he's rich and say that he's great, but I think there's more layers to what he's saying as well. You know, he's formed this real misfit team of people that are brought together by the fact that he can pay them. He's a better promo than anyone in WWE, anyone, because he sounds like he's actually speaking to you off the top of his head authentically rather than memorize something. As for feeling sorry for Pete Dunne, I feel elated for Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is a good wrestler, but he is one heck of a boring man and a terrible promo. And Pat McAfee has breathed a life into Pete Dunne that has never existed. Even what Pete Dunne looks like right now, it looks like Pat McAfee took him under his wing and said, "Guy, you're a state, but what we're going to do is going to take you to the tanning salon. We're going to get your hair better. We're going to get your outfits a little better as well, because he was a guy that was attached to kind of like velvet blazers and stuff anytime he had to like slightly spruce up. And it was just all around bad. And Pat McAfee has taken him and said, Pete, shut your mouth, do what I tell you. And then, you know, your wrestling's fantastic. And then the rest of you can be elevated to that. And we saw what Pete Dunne was like when he was let off the leash this week. And it was bad. So I love Pat McAfee. Won't change my mind on Pat McAfee. And I feel like if you're against Pat McAfee, then I guess you just really enjoy all the bad stuff on WWE. Is he a fan of Dexter Lumis and The Fiend? Because I worry for him.
He's a glutton for punishment is what he is, Steph. Listen.
But thank you for the video.
Yeah, we really appreciate your time here on Wrestling Daily. Please keep them coming in to either me or Louis, and we will upload them on the show. I will say Pete Dunne is like an elite wrestler. And when I mean elite, I mean in the whole company of WWE, yes. I would put Pete Dunne among anyone. I cannot tell you a bad match Pete Dunne has had. He doesn't have even just decent matches, you know, like Ciampa and Cameron Grimes had a very much. Every match Pete Dunne has, the stuff that he does means something. The action is good. Pete Dunne, very, very good. He's better though when he's being flanked with people with a lot of personality. Pat McAfee, Matt Riddle, Trent Seven. He is better when he's flanked with those people because they bring out the best in him, and his personality is not a 5-10 minute promo or the kind of promo we got on NXT. It's playing off people with his deadpan sense of humor, which actually is very good, but on its own is obviously not as impactful because, you know, you need to be able to bounce off people with that sort of stuff. So I feel that there's a lot of upside to Pete, but being like a killer in the stable with Pat McAfee is a great spot for Pete. I think that's brought out a lot in him, and I get it why people don't like Pat, and I think that's obviously the goal. You know, it might, for some of those people, it might be down the road where you go, like Pat was really good, but you know, he's grating. I found him grating during the initial embers of the Adam Cole thing. I was like, God, that guy's annoying, but he's really, really good at it. Really good. And since he's been in the ring with a microphone, I am on the team of Steph here, where I think he's amazing. I think he's so his delivery is. Yeah, I see Uptown Avondale having a problem with his cadence, but I actually think it's really good because the way he delivers his promos, as Steph said, it's so fluid, right, but punchy that it's you can just tell that it just comes to him, and I rate him. I rate Pat McAfee.
What? Yeah, carry on. I'm sorry.
No, I rate him. I was just about to say, Wrestling Daily on Thursdays are a pro Pat McAfee place.
Pete Dunne is like a kid in school who is really smart, but spent all his time studying and was never able to develop a personality because he was locked in his room studying. Pat McAfee is the jock that came up to him, took him under his wing and said, hey man, will you do my homework for me? And I'll give you some money. And once Pete did the homework for Pat, he got into Pat's cool kid gang, and other people might be like, why have you got Pete Dunne in there? And Pat's like, because he'll do my homework for me and he'll make me look good when I need him, and I can do all the talking.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that. Steph coming in with another great analogy, it must say. I do just want to say, before this show finishes up, I saw, and I don't know if anything's happened since then, but I did see yesterday that Dave Meltzer was on the verge of losing his mother. That's very sad. I just want to say my best wishes to Dave and his family, of course. That's a terrible thing for anyone to go through at any time, especially around Christmas. I lost my gran, who was like my favorite person in the world, on Christmas Eve 2 years ago. It's not nice. So all the best to Dave. You know, what a trooper for carrying on doing his show during a time like this. So if anyone can share some love his way, do so, because I don't know if she's gone yet or not, but I know he expects to lose her. So all the best, Dave, from here at the Wrestling Daily. And that rings a wrap to this week's show. Steph Chase has been coming in hot once again, and I must say, it's been a great show. It's one of my favorites having Steph on after all the stuff that goes on with AEW. Yeah. You'll be back next Thursday, Steph, won't you? 8 p.m.
Next Thursday. And for anyone watching that wants to talk more AEW with me, I'll be talking about it tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. UK time over on my YouTube. You find me there.
Excellent. And Steph, have you got any Twitch streams coming up that we could get involved with?
That will be on Twitch as well. Twitch,
Ooh.
YouTube, simulcast, talking about AEW tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. And then, yeah, I think next week I'm starting a new game on Twitch, which will be very fun.
Ooh. Can we get a tease?
It is a WWE game, and it
Ooh.
might be the best WWE game. That's what my gamer friends that are helping.
No mercy. It's got to be.
I'm not saying anything. You do not know what I'm talking about.
Well, as you can see, guys, Steph's Twitter is down there and up there as well at the moment. So make sure you follow her for more great coverage of all the stuff that we have discussed today. And there's her YouTube, which I recommend. You're steaming towards 1,000 subscribers, are you not, Steph?
Yeah, and I have I'm also publishing a big interview on Monday with a great wrestling mind who has a lot of takes on everything that's happening in wrestling, including AEW.
Oh, I must say as well, Adam Pearson, good, big fan of Adam. This is my first exposure to Steph Chase, and I'm a big fan. I'm assuming he means big fan. There you go. Adam, what a lovely guy he is. He called me the GOAT the other day, Steph. You'll get there. You'll get there.
I can be the goat hat.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We're just roaming in the field together, Steph, in our wrestling, chewing on our wrestling grass. I don't know what the analogy is, but I've done it now.
With eggs everywhere.
Exactly. So anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I'm going back to bed because I feel terrible. Yeah, God damn it. And I will see you tomorrow with SB3, not Louis. SB3 is back in the house, so I'm sure there'll be some debates for you guys. Until then, thank you so much for joining Steph and I, and we as a pair will see you next week.
Bye.